The stone wolf stands at the edge of the mountain road, where weeds grow through cracks, and the air always feels colder than the rest of the village. Its surface is rough from years of snow, wind, and neglect, yet its eyes seem alert as if guarding something unseen. Most people pass without looking, but she notices every detail each night. She finishes work late when the sky is already dark and the village lights glow weakly behind her. Her boots scrape against gravel as she slows her steps, knowing she will stop again. This moment has become a habit, as necessary as breathing. She stands in front of the stone wolf and exhales slowly. The silence around her feels heavy but not empty. She begins to speak softly at first, then with more confidence. She talks about customers who yelled, machines that broke, and the quiet ache that follows her home. Her voice fogs the air and fades into the trees. She tells the wolf things she never says to people. How lonely the house feels, how nights stretch too long, how memories arrive without warning. The wolf never responds, but it never turns away. Cars used to pass this road years ago, but now only the wind listens. She likes that no one interrupts. She likes that the wolf never judges, never offers advice, never leaves. Sometimes she laughs at herself for talking to stone. Other times she presses her gloved hand against its cold leg as if grounding herself. The chill reminds her she is still here, still moving, still choosing another night. She stays longer than she should, even when the cold bites through her coat. There is comfort in finishing her thoughts before going home. When she finally turns away, she feels lighter, as if something stayed behind with the wolf. The village sleeps unaware of her ritual. To them, the statue is decoration, forgotten history, nothing alive to her. It is a witness. As she walks away, she glances back one last time. The stone wolf stands exactly as it always has, silent, unmoving, watching the road. She does not know why. She believes it listens. She only knows that tomorrow night she will return. Her days follow a narrow path that never seems to change. Morning comes too early, and night arrives before she feels finished. She moves through hours like a shadow, doing what is required and little more. The house she returns to is quiet in a way that presses against her chest. Rooms hold furniture, but no warmth. Photographs sit untouched, collecting dust and memory. She avoids looking at them for long. Once filled her phone with messages and plans. Over time, replies slowed, then stopped. Life carried them elsewhere while she remained. She does not blame them, but the absence still hurts. Work is the place where she speaks the most. Even there, the words are careful, measured, safe. No one asks how she is beyond habit. No one waits for the real answer. That is why the stone wolf matters. With it, she does not need to filter herself. She talks about the anger she hides and the fear she pretends not to feel. She admits how tired she is of being strong. Some nights, she stands there longer than planned. The cold creeps into her bones, but she does not move. She tells the wolf about dreams that faded and choices that closed doors behind her. She confesses that she feels invisible. The road stays empty and the forest listens without comment. In that stillness, her thoughts finally slow. She begins to understand her own voice again. When she leaves, she walks straighter. The weight she carries feels shared. Even if only imagined, the stone wolf remains behind, holding everything she cannot back home. The silence no longer feels as sharp. She sleeps a little easier, knowing there is a place where she is fully heard. With time, her visits become stories instead of confessions. She begins telling the stone wolf about small things that make her smile. A song on the radio, a child laughing at the store, the smell of bread from the bakery. These moments feel brighter when spoken aloud. Some evenings she arrives with energy in her steps. Her voice lifts as she describes a joke she heard or a memory that returned gently. She laughs into the cold air, surprising herself. The sound feels unfamiliar but welcome. Other nights, the weight returns without warning. She speaks slower, choosing words carefully. Tears come and freeze on her cheeks before she notices. Still, she does not stop talking. The stone wolf receives everything, the light and the heavy. It never asks her to choose between them. That is what makes the place feel safe. Occasionally someone drives past on the distant road. Headlights sweep across the statue in her face. She pauses until the sound fades, then continues. This is her time. As weeks pass, she notices how her thoughts sharpen. She understands what hurts and why speaking gives shape to feelings that once blurred together. The forest changes with the season. Leaves thin branches bare, and the air grows sharper. She wraps her scarf tighter, but keeps coming. There is comfort in knowing where she will end each day. The stone wolf waits exactly where she left it, unchanging, steady. She starts to believe that consistency itself can heal. That returning night after night is an act of care, even if no one else sees it. When she leaves, she often feels calm instead of empty. The road home feels shorter, the darkness less heavy. The stone wolf stands behind her, holding her words, and she walks forward carrying a little more strength than before. Winter does not arrive gently. In the mountain village it comes fast and unforgiving. The first heavy snow closes roads and silences the forest. Overnight shops shorten their hours, and some close entirely. People speak in worried tones about money, heat, and isolation. The village feels smaller, tighter, pressed together by cold. She feels the change immediately. Work becomes uncertain, and tempers grow sharp. Even familiar faces look strained and distant. At night the wind howls through empty streets. Most people stay indoors once darkness falls. Lights go out earlier than before. Still, she walks the road to the stone wolf. Snow crunches under her boots, and the air stings her skin. Each step feels heavier, but more necessary. She talks about the fear settling into her chest, the worry of losing stability, of being truly alone. Her voice shakes, but she keeps going. The stone wolf is dusted with snow now. Its shape softened, but its presence stronger. She brushes ice from its face. Before speaking, the silence around them feels deeper than ever. Even the forest seems to hold its breath. She senses something watchful in the cold. As days shorten, her visits grow longer. She speaks about survival, about endurance, about making it through another week. She admits she does not know how strong she really is. The village retreats further into itself. Neighbors stop checking in. Conversations become brief. Everyone carries their own winter. At the stone wolf, she allows herself to be honest. She speaks of exhaustion and quiet hope existing side by side. She asks nothing in return. When she finally turns back toward home, snow begins to fall again. The road disappears behind her footsteps, but she keeps walking, trusting the path she knows. Behind her, the stone wolf remains still, silent, still waiting, still listening. One night the cold feels sharper than before. Her breath comes shallow and her hands ache despite the gloves. She stops halfway down the road and considers turning back. The thought of the stone wolf feels distant. So does the comfort she usually finds there. She is tired in a way sleep has not touched. When she reaches the statue, her words come slowly. She speaks of wanting to give up, of being worn thin. Her voice breaks, and she does not try to fix it. Snow falls, heavier, muffling the world. The forest grows unnaturally still. Even the wind seems to pause. She presses her forehead against the cold stone. For the first time she asks why she keeps going. The question hangs in the air, unanswered. Then the silence changes. The silence changes slowly. At first a low sound rises from the stone wolf, almost like a sigh. She freezes, unsure if her ears deceive her or the wind has found a new rhythm. The sound grows steadier. A low, steady voice, speaking in words she cannot have imagined. It is not music or magic, but something familiar. It speaks of the long nights, the exhaustion, the hidden strength she has carried unnoticed. Her knees weaken, and she presses both hands against the statue. The voice repeats fragments of what she has said over months, shaping them into something solid. It tells her she has endured more than she knows. It says the fear she hides is not weakness. It says the silence she treasures is not emptiness. Stares freeze on her cheeks as she listens. The words feel like sunlight through a storm. She realizes the voice is neither coming from outside nor entirely inside. It is a mirror showing her what she has always held, but never admitted. The wind moves around her differently, as if leaning closer to hear. The snow drifts without sound. Branches bend slightly over the road like guardians. The world is quiet enough to let her heart understand. She begins to respond, even though her voice shakes. She asks questions she has buried long ago. She confesses hopes she never dared to speak aloud. She admits fears she has carried since youth. The stone wolf answers in kind, repeating pieces of her own strength back to her. Hours pass unnoticed. The cold seeps through her coat and into her bones, but she does not feel it. Time dissolves into the rhythm of giving and receiving words. Each answer shapes her courage, like chisels on stone. When the voice finally fades, she collapses against the statue. Her body trembles from relief and wonder. She knows she has crossed a threshold. Something has awakened in the silence. The stone wolf no longer feels entirely inanimate. It has become a keeper of truth and reflection. She has changed, and the world feels different in ways she cannot yet name. She stands taller than before, as if the snow itself lifts her. The voice has faded, but its weight remains in her chest. She walks home slowly, feeling the rhythm of her own strength in every step. Forest no longer feels threatening. Shadows seem softer, and the wind carries a gentleness she has never noticed. Even the road feels familiar in a way it never did before. It Home, she sits by the window and watches the village lights flicker in houses that seem smaller. Somehow she thinks about the people who worry and fight and endure without knowing how strong they are. The stone wolf stays in her mind. Its voice was not magic but a reflection. It held her courage in its cold eyes and returned it stronger than she had given. She begins to understand that the power to face fear and grief was inside her. All along she starts speaking to neighbors again, offering small kindnesses. A hot meal, a listening ear, a walk through the snow. People notice her calm, her steadiness, and respond with quiet gratitude. For the first time she feels part of something larger than herself. The stone wolf waits at the edge of the road, unchanged. Yet she knows it has shifted as much as she has. It taught her that silence can hold answers, and that words even spoken to stone can awaken truth. Each night she returns with new confidence. She no longer fears the cold or the dark. The voice has disappeared, but she no longer needs it. She carries its lesson within her, like fire in frozen bones. By morning the world looks the same, yet she feels different. The snow glints under the pale sun, and the village moves slowly through its chores. She walks past familiar doors and feels a lightness in her step that surprises her. She begins helping neighbors in ways she never dared before, carrying groceries, clearing snow, offering a hand without expectation. People smile and share stories that feel like bridges. For the first time in years, she listens without fear or judgment. Her voice returns to daily life. She talks and laughs more freely. The heaviness that once lingered in her chest loosens. She sleeps more deeply and wakes with energy she thought was lost. Evenings still find her at the Stone Wolf. She no longer asks for answers. She speaks because it feels natural to share her day. The statue is a witness, but not a crutch. She has learned to hold herself steady. The village notices subtle changes in her. There is warmth in her eyes and a quiet confidence in her movements. People respond with kindness that surprises them as much as her. Her presence itself becomes a comfort. The stone wolf remains behind silently, its cold stone unchanged by seasons or snow. Yet she knows that it has served its purpose. It gave her reflection and courage, and now she carries both into every day without fear. Walking home, she feels gratitude without expectation. The path no longer seems endless. The darkness no longer feels threatening. She has discovered that the strength she sought was always inside the stone. Wolf stands still watching the road, but she no longer needs it to guide her. Seasons change slowly in the village. Spring melts the snow and green edges the roads. Summer brings warmth, and the air smells of flowers and smoke from distant chimneys. She walks past the stone wolf each day, noticing how light falls on its face. Life carries on with quiet persistence. The village heals from winter struggles. Neighbors rebuild gardens, repair roofs, and share laughter. Once again she joins them, not as an observer but as part of the rhythm of living. The stone wolf remains where it always stood, its eyes cold and unyielding, yet she no longer expects it to speak. She knows it has given her everything she needed: reflection, courage, and the reminder that she is not as small as she once believed. She moves through her days helping others quietly, carrying groceries, listening to stories, clearing snow, and offering a warm smile. People rely on her presence without knowing why. She feels the weight of loneliness lift with every shared moment. At night, she sometimes returns to the statue. She touches its cold surface and remembers the voice. It feels less like magic and more like truth. Discovered the silence around her is no longer empty but full of possibility. The village continues through its seasons. The stone wolf stands, watching the road and the forest. She walks past it without hesitation. She carries the lessons of winter inside her, and she knows she will face whatever comes next. With strength and clarity, the wind moves softly through the trees. The path home is clear. She smiles at the journey behind and the days ahead. And the stone wolf waits quietly for the next story to be told.